Well, good morning, Wheatley Baptist Church. Pastor Dave here with just a brief weekly update. I'd like to continue to keep you apprised of what's going on, and I hope your week is off to a great start this week. We certainly have the weather to keep us in the mood of summer. I really appreciate that for sure. You know, I want to say something to you this morning that I don't often dig into. I don't often use my pastoral position to speak into political and current news events. But, you know, since the death of George Floyd has just captured the airwaves and social media, it's become a daily conversation, I fear, for many people. You know, I've prayed about whether to speak to you about this, and so here goes. If you think about this name, George Floyd, you know, say that name out to yourself, George Floyd. It's just another name. In many respects, it's just another statistic. It's just another news story. But folks, I want to affirm him as a man made in the image of God. And I must say that it's getting harder and harder for silence to be an option in the face of these types of events. You know, God has commissioned us to represent him and to represent him in the face of injustices. And this is certainly an injustice. And I don't know all the circumstances that led up to what we've witnessed and in that video, showing his death. I don't know, what he was involved in. I don't know the background, beyond what you do from the news of the officers involved. But I do know this. What we see in that video is just plain wrong. And as the church and as followers of Jesus, we need to speak up about that. But I think it's fair to say, what do we say? You know, how should we be responding, even in our own everyday, all-day lives? How should we be responding to things like this? Because I know this comes up in conversation for you. I think in times like this, it's good and right to turn into God's word. And so I want to read for you from Luke chapter 15. This is the parable of the lost sheep. I want you to consider this for a minute as I read. Tax collectors and other notorious sinners came to listen to Jesus teach. This made the Pharisees and teachers of religious law complain that he was associating with such sinful people, even eating with them. So Jesus told them this story. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he's found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me because I have found my lost sheep." In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. Consider for a moment putting your knee on the neck of a man who is pleading, telling you he can't breathe. It's not just injustice. It's for me, it's stomach turning, and it's murder. I don't think it matters in this instance what his record was or what he did or if he resisted or not. I mean, we see suspects restrained all the time without injury and certainly without death, although those instances are starting to become far too common too. And I just have to ask, what is in your heart if you use your body to suffocate a man while he's pleading for his life? I don't understand that. You know, you hear a lot these days about the term Black Lives Matter. Then you hear a common response from many that say, well, all lives matter. And while I obviously don't disagree with a statement that says all lives matter, consider the fact in this parable of Jesus, though, that the shepherd leaves the 99 to go after the one. Is George Floyd the one? No. But all the George Floyds of the world, they are. This isn't a problem in the United States. This is a problem in our world. Love your neighbor means love your neighbor. Period. I've attached a link to the newsletter I sent you and on our webpage as well about a document provided by our executive director of the CBOQ, Tim McCoy. And I want to draw your attention specifically to two parts of the communique that he sent. In his note, Tim said that we also must do what we as Christians are to be known for, to love, to pray, and to extend care. And boy, those are wise words for us. And Tim says, I ask of you today that you listen to the pain and hurt of those who live daily with the ugly reality of racism and who are affected deeply by its weight and wounds. Believe people when they tell you about what they have experienced. And you know this issue extends into our very community too. We have a tremendous amount of migrant labor. We have a tremendous amount of immigrants that have come into Windsor in Essex County. We're not immune from this. Tim also briefly recounts a discussion with a Toronto area pastor of our own CBOQ family, a brother of color who says, sympathy is unnecessary and unhelpful. Empathy is required. And, he went on to say to Tim that that as a white person, he must feel burden with him as a person of color. And I would say to you too, so must we. We must choose to carry this burden alongside those people that are experiencing racial injustice. Tim goes on in his letter to say that we don't know where feeling this burden is going to lead us. And I agree with that. I think that's okay too. But I know that with open hands, and I know that with open hearts, particularly in prayer, a deep spirit of prayer over this issue, if we open our eyes and we open our ears to what's going on right in front of us, and probably the time is here for us to open our mouths too. Everyone in our community, everyone in our sphere of life needs to hear our holy discontent over this. And they need to hear our immense love for them too. I commission you with that this week. Think about, as you watch the news, think about this especially as you talk around the various water coolers of your life. What are people hearing come out of you as a follower of Jesus Christ in this area? Friends, I do have some brief updates for you as well. Bible study Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. You're more than welcome. If you haven't attended with us, we're digging into the sermon messages much deeper. So we're well into the book of James there, and we're kind of dovetailing some of the proverbs that fit into some of our discussions. So great discussions we're having there. Our community prayer night continues this week, so Thursday night at 7 p.m. On Facebook. I noticed too, there are still a few surveys being completed, some even just yesterday. So thank you for doing that. And we're going to leave those up until the end of the week. And so we'll shut those off at the end of the day on Friday. And then finally, and this is kind of exciting for me, June in the past has been missions month for us, where we get missionaries to come in and join us in our service and have a discussion. Well, Patty Walker and I have been talking about that. How do we, during this time of isolation and for them, a real change of pace, them being our missionaries, we want to bring some of their stories and bring some updates to you through the month of June. And so we're aiming to put out for you a weekly online look at a specific mission initiative, that we're supporting as a church family. So we're going to have those posted on Fridays. And so we've got one done already. And so we'll be posting that later this week. So you can see that on Friday to specifically just keep you up to date and give an opportunity for us to hear from how some of our missionary partners are working during this time. These are exciting stories. And so I just encourage you to stay tuned and watch for that. And then finally, certainly we're going to gather for worship on Sunday. Just a heads up, this is Communion Sunday. And so we'll be celebrating at the Lord's table together as well. Friends, my prayer for you is that you have a blessed week this week. Take the opportunity to think about what you're watching in the news, particularly around this sensitive subject. Turn to God's Word. There's a lot of His counsel for us in this season in His Word. Reach out to me if you want to talk through some of that. I'm more than happy to do that. A couple of you have done that actually this week. Be blessed. Talk with you soon.